Why won't you do something? Well, hey everyone, welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. Hope you're having yourself a wonderful day. Hope this video finds you well, and that it provides some energy and excitement in your life. We are on our way to 5,000 subscribers, so thank you to all of you guys who have been here. And if you're enjoying the channel, hit the subscribe button and join us along for this wild, crazy ride. A wild, crazy ride that involves Crucible of War just doing stupid things. We're gonna talk about Crucible of War. We used to have a segment on this channel called Whale, Dolphin, and Lucky Fish, where we used to talk about people who got lucky with the flesh and blood spike and who had gone from not a ton of money to a lot of money because of flesh and blood. It was really fun. But now the whales have abandoned us, so this video is really just for us dolphins who are still floating around, hanging out on the channel. So this one I'm gonna call it Wake Up Dolphins. The title might actually have a different one, but we're gonna talk a lot about Crucible of War because I am astonished, I'm absolutely baffled that in 2021, in the midst of the great, some of the largest number of players for Flesh and Blood in the entire time of Flesh and Blood's ever been a game, the huge player growth in 2021, that we see the same prices on boxes that we saw months ago. So we're gonna talk about that. I do all these numbers. I think the price currently is too low. I'm not just gonna tell you that, I'm gonna share with you the actual data. I'm not gonna make up data, I'm gonna tell you the actual data based on my market data that I do. I'm gonna tell you why I think that it's undervalued. And yeah, so I did some math for you. Here we go. So let's talk about it. The history of the fab market. So right now we are in this weird place that's after Monarch. The fab market's way down. You all know that. Let's talk about the history of the fab market. It wasn't always down. It wasn't always low. Look, I did a little history report for you. It wasn't always low. We had three major spikes in the fab market. One of those, and I'm gonna kind of talk about them as it pertains to Crucible of War. I think that the timelines are pretty similar for all these things. They might, fluctuate by a couple weeks, but I did the timelines for Crucible of War because that's what this video is about. So December 12th, and I actually had a video on this. I put out a video that was like, I think Crucible of War might be out of print. And then like 3 days later, Rudy did a video on it and Crucible of War was out of print. And on that day, the price spiked on December 12th. Previous was $120 a box and it spiked up to $500 a box. And that's when distribution started slow rolling this kind of second wave of Crucible of War to stores. They just kind of slow rolled it in. We saw a huge timeline where boxes were right around $500. Then 1 month later, February 13th, boxes spiked from $500 to $750. Then in March, on March 26th, boxes went from $750 all the way up to $1,400. And that's when you also saw a spike with Alpha and WTR. Sorry, Alpha is WTR, Alpha and Crucible. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Alpha and Arcane Rising. I'm just excited to talk about Crucible. And then Rudy had a sale around that time where he sold boxes and a playmat. And then now we are in this June 15th area. So from March all the way up, we kind of saw these kind of prices stabilize and then they kind of went downwards. And then on June 15th, we saw I'm gonna call it the Monarch crash of the Flesh and Blood market. We hit the $900 price point. And then today, Crucible of War boxes are $600, which is basically the same price that you could have got them around February 13th. So, I want to talk about the numbers. I also used my spreadsheet. I have the historical data based on my market updates. If you're a patron at the $15 tier, you get access to the historical data, which is really cool. It's a really cool way to look at things and kind of evaluate what's high or what's low. You can do individual cards. It's great. Anyway, so I've done this for everyone though. So I've taken the prices of all these things in February 13th. When I did the market update then, and now I'm comparing them to now, and I want to talk about the percentages and why it's crazy. So, average Crucible of War sealed boxes February 13th, $600. Average Majestic cold foil at $328, and the Crucible EV was sitting at $552. Today, the sealed box prices are $600. The average Majestic cold foil price is $508, which is an increase of 54%. And the Crucible EV, which is the whole cards, even now, even after Unlimited's already out, you're sitting at $630, which is a 15% increase. Okay, so let's compare it to Arcane Rising WTR. Arcane Rising sealed prices were $1,600 on February 13th, and now I'm calling it $2,250 based on eBay sales. I know it's somewhere between $2,000 and $2,250. That's a 40% increase. Average legendary prices were $1,300 on February 13th, and now they're $1,600. That's a 23% increase. And the EV of Arcane Rising, the EV was $1,376, and today it's $1,452, which is just a small increase of 5%. Sealed WTR Alpha, the pinnacle of Flesh and Blood collecting. Alpha sealed, it's hard to figure out the price right now. Somewhere between $4,750 and $5,500. We'll use the low number to not be accused of making this data absolute. So February 13th, boxes were $4,000. Today we'll go with $4,750. That's an 18 to 19% increase. Average legendary was $1,735. Today it's $2,580. That's a 50% increase. And WTR EV has increased 11% from $2,018 to $2,239. So, long story short, if you're like, oh my gosh, those numbers were boring, they're important. The actual data is important. You don't just, can't just throw out numbers. This is actual data based on sold listings on eBay, TCG Player, Facebook, Discord, okay? For Crucible of War, and since February 13th, the average Majestic cold foil is performing better. Look at this. Look, can you see it? The average Majestic cold foil is up 54%. That is better than any other Flesh and Blood product from Alpha to Crucible to Arcane Rising to Crucible War Sealed. Anything else, 54%. Majestic cold foil is a better return, better rate, because people like the cold foil Majestics. I've been saying this for forever. So the average card, EV, the average EV of the set, so the average EV is also performing better. It's like Crucible is up 14%, Arcane is up 5%, and WTR is up 10%. The average EV is better for Crucible of War. So why are the boxes the same price? It doesn't make any sense. The average box price for Arcane Rising has increased 40%. The average WTR sealed, if you use the low number, which the last sold listing on eBay would be the high number, but if you use the low number, it's sitting at 19% increase. Yet Crucible of War is still $600. It makes no sense. If you're a dolphin, this is the time. So this is where we're gonna go. I don't want to get into it, but we have the most player growth of all time. Like, there's so many people playing the game. Where are all the people who are buying things to invest and to collect? The whole thing, everyone was saying back then, well, I'm just worried if people are going to actually play the game. Yet here we are, and people are playing the game, and we're seeing this stuff. It just makes no sense to me. So why are we at the same prices? My opinion, and this is not advice. This is I'm an idiot. Okay, my opinion. Crucible currently in this market, even with the decrease in investable whatever, even in the crash, even in the middle of the Monarch Flesh and Blood market crash, even in the middle of that, Crucible should be a $900 box. Even in this market, Crucible should be a $900 box. I really believe that. The question is, and this is the big one. This is the big question, is where's the market going? It really makes no sense to see the security in the player base not affecting the security in the collecting and an investing market. And I've been trying to figure it out for 4 months. I can't figure it out. I don't have any answers for you. The question you need to ask yourself is, do you or do you not believe in the longevity of Flesh and Blood as a trading card game? Do you or do you not believe in that? If you do believe in that, I really think Crucible of War is an undervalued asset in the current market. If you don't believe that, if you don't believe in the security and the future of Flesh and Blood as a collectible and as a game. I should have thrown the collectible in on the first thing, because it can be a great game and not be collectible. And that's a valid point that some people have been talking about. It can be a great game and they not support the collectible market. That, you know, that's a valid concern. That's always a valid concern. But if you believe in the collectability of cold foils and sealed product, and if you believe in the future of this game, man, I don't know. If you don't believe in that, I don't know where the market's going. Like, if you don't believe the game's like, then this is certainly not the bottom. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Crucible of War, I don't know. For those of you sticking around who got mad at me for throwing a first edition Crucible box, it was an unlimited box. Haha, tricked you! Hey, remember to be kind to the people around you, and hope you guys have a good. Remember that this is like, if you're like me and you're like, what happened? Just remember this is a card game. It's just fun. You know what I mean? Like, just sit back, relax, take a deep breath. If you've got investments, if you've got collections, take a look at them. Like, don't just look at the numbers. I know a lot of people say they're bummed out about my collection tracker because the prices keep going down. Don't just throw the collection tracker away for a minute and open up your binder and look at the cards. Look at the Tales of Aria packaging. Look at the Crucible of War packaging. I mean, this stuff is beautiful. Just enjoy it and just take a step back away from the value, away from your losses, and just sit back and enjoy your collection for a couple minutes. Or more importantly, don't do any of that and go spend time with some of your family and your friends and the people that matter to you in your life. Hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you.